welcome back to the class, everyone. The Leviathan capital ship is finally here, and for the most part, the event seems to be really easy, especially when you get into the bonus tier. That being said, challenge tier 4 can be a little bit challenging, so we're going to be tackling that today. So this is what we're up against right here. As you can see, I've actually only been able to 1-star, but one of the things that I want to focus on is one of the requirements for Leviathan is the Sith Marauder ship. However, that being said, the pilot for Sith Marauder ship is not required. So there are a lot of people out there right now that have not gotten Sith Eternal yet, or just built up Sith Marauder R7 for some random reason, that are at a pretty big disadvantage when trying to beat this specific mission. Oh, by the way, we're not going to be covering any of the rest. Arguably autoable every single other mission. This is the only one that's a little bit challenging. So what I've done to try to mimic as best I can a player experience that maybe says has a Gear 12, Sith Marauder, or maybe even like a Relic 3 or Relic 5, is I've stripped mods. They did drop the GP by about 5,000, so it's not exactly comparable to a really weak Sith Marauder, but this is the closest that I could get. And then as far as the mission goes, we want to walk through that now. So this is footage that I did previously, and I won't lie, even with having him R7 and mod stripped off, there is a little bit of RNG in this event, and I will talk about that when we get into it, but there is a right and wrong way to do it with the ships you're using. So we want to be starting with Marauder ship, despite even being weaker, Dagger, as well as Malgus' ship. And the reason for this is not only are these pretty crucial ships, but on top of that, the other two need to come in as reinforcement. So we're going to take a pounding here in the very beginning, and you'll see with Dagger, we immediately start off with a basic. I don't want to use the AoE quite yet, because if Dagger is allowed to live, eventually that AoE is going to be able to apply invulnerable, which is going to be important for when we get Sith Fighter out, because Sith Fighter makes so that when any Sith hits a character, crits a character, or a ship rather, they're going to get foresight. So really not a big reason to use that now, so we're going to keep it for the time being. Make sure that we use this on our Sith Bomber, try to keep him alive, shut down the enemy engines. We're going to go ahead and basic again. Same thing as before. We also want to basic with Sith Marauder ship. The reason for this is if we use the AoE, we're going to waste all of our concussion mines on characters that have tenacity up and really get nowhere from it, so we're going to hold those. It is important. We're not going to use the basic now. We're going to use the middle ability with Fury, because it's going to recover health and protection of Marauder to keep him alive, and this should be a good idea no matter what, even if you have a weaker Marauder, because you get a huge amount of defensive and protection health stats from the, I believe it's Steward, I forget what the exact name of the buff is, but the special buff that we have above our Sith Marauder right now. So again, this actually would have been a great time to use the AoE, because we're going to call in our Sith Fighter next. We did not. That was kind of a misplay, so don't do that. We should have used the AoE there. Now when we bring in Sith Fighter, we have the same advantage I was talking about before. Now when everyone crits, they're going to get foresight, and this is where all of our survivability is going to come from. Even if you do have a higher relict Marauder, the enemy hits really stinking hard, and they get a lot of turns in a row. So as you can see, we lost our Dagger, which is unfortunate. That can happen. Ideally, what would have happened there, we actually would have hit the Bomber, and the Bomber would have gone into a second life, and we would have had all of our ships and been just fine, essentially. We're going to continue to take more hits on hits on hits. We do want to, again, use the middle ability with Fury as much as we can when we are weak. As you can see there, we were pretty low in health protection. And this is just going to end up being a race to getting the Interceptor out, because once we get I believe this is the Interceptor, or at least I believe it's what it's called. It's like the Mark 6 something. We basic on Houndstooth and we kill him. And then reinforcements, this shouldn't matter too much. Sometimes Boba comes in, sometimes the shuttle comes in. I'm not exactly sure what the priority is there or why it shifts from one to the other. But now we want to make a point to get rid of Xanadu Blood. Xanadu Blood is going to deal the most damage, and we shouldn't be in that much trouble from here, because we're very close to our ultimate ability, because we've already used both the specials. And we do lose Marauder, as he is, again, a little bit weaker, so that's going to happen. Use the heal to make sure that we get everyone up to speed. And now we've taken control of the enemy capital ship. Houndstooth is dead, and we should be okay from here. We don't want to use the AoE here. Do not use the AoE immediately, because if you do, you will kick fear off of all of the enemies there. You'll notice that we try to call the mass attack at certain times, and that is to make sure that we put foresight on all characters up. For example, our Interceptor in the middle there did not have foresight. The mass attack allowed him to crit, and then he was able to get it. I probably could have put this on the Mark 6 the stealth on him, but I didn't want to. I kind of wanted the splits to be hit here. I didn't want them to focus down any one character. Fury is really important for survivability, but also so is Sith Fighter. We want to make sure Sith Fighter doesn't die here, so we actually do move the stealth around. But this ends up being a little bit easier as we're able to, again, heal Sith Fighter a little bit there, and then a lot here to make sure we can keep that foresight going. So we don't have to really worry about them being able to kill us super quickly, now, especially now that our bomber is gone. Bring in the Ebonhawk, which is kind of a joke. There's not a whole lot of strong synergy there. We get Chap, which is okay, and then we just basic for more turn meter. They keep hitting us with everything we got. Make sure to call in the Fury because it does the most damage there. They kill our Ebonhawk almost immediately, and then from here it's pretty much done. You just target down the Razor Crest, making sure that you kill it. I don't typically use the AoEs here. And we just keep going down on him. And wow, the AoE just does no damage from Executor without the assists. Razor Crest is down, and from here it's pretty easy picking. So again, we try to avoid the stealth because I want them to spread the hits. And then I think at this point we just get actually really annoyed with the Emperor Shuttle, call in the Master Stun him and kill him. So fairly easy. We got the fear on IG as well, which is why part of the reason why I didn't want to attack him. And we're going to be able to take this out. So there is RNG to this fight. Most of it is pretty foreseeable, though. You can either check whether or not they are going, or not check, but you can notice whether or not they're going to double tap like Xanadu Blood, or if they're going to call in the right character to assist. This video was a pretty good demonstration of good RNG, because towards the very beginning of the battle, both IG, or both Razor Crest and Xanadu Blood, called in Houndstooth on their call to assist, which is great for us because Houndstooth is going to do significantly less damage than either one of them or IG, giving us kind of a benefit here. So this is the best, again, I could do. We made sure to take all of our mods off of Marauder. My other pilots are not, they don't, I think I show most of them in here. They're all about exactly where you would expect them to be due to requirements. I guess for what it's worth, if you wanted to make this a little bit easier on yourself, you could probably go in and make sure to give Sith Assassin 60 mods. I did not do that just because, again, I was trying to get down to an ability or a level where a lot of people would be able to relate to it rather than just strapping on all my best stuff. But you can see here my gear and relic levels, it's pretty basic gear 12s, and then everyone else is just what they're required to be at. I think, yeah, except for Malgus, who's only R7 with 1 Omicron. So for the most part, this is as good as I could get it. Let me know what you guys think in the comments if there's another strategy that's easier. But really, I think this is going to revolve highly around saving the AoEs in the very beginning and then bringing in Sith Fighter first, followed up by the Mark 6 Interceptor. Wow, there's way too many Interceptors right now. All right, let me know what you guys think, and until the next time, stay awesome.